start off the mind maps, we'll start with cost, volume, profit analysis. Cost, volume, profit analysis is a wonderful tool that human resources at World Vision can use to analyze cost, volume, and profit within the organization. The human resource team can also use those very things to determine what the most cost-efficient decision is. CVP is used by companies to figure out how changes in the costs and the volume affect the net income and other expenses. Cost, volume, profit analysis compares the relationships between cost of operating and production goods and several others. Through the analysis and breakdown of costs into either fixed or variable, the company is able to identify where there is profitability. The 4 subcategories to summarize CVP are the break-even point, contribution margin, margin of safety, and changes in prices. Specifically looking at this topic for the HR department at World Vision, we can see that CVP is useful for HR for educational purposes in forecasting economic decision and helps avoid losses. So the HR department can use the cost, volume, profit for things like projecting what the budget is for hiring and what the budget is for certain things involving the HR department. The study of the effects of changes and cost and volume on a company as well is very important to the HR department. Specifically looking at the break-even point, the break-even point is the level of sales at which the profit is zero, where HR can plan for changes. So specifically looking at a nonprofit organization, we would be very intrigued and highlight the break-even point because it is important for the organization to be able to know how many donors they need and how much money they need in order to pay their staff, and then also have enough money to give money to those in need for their purpose of their company. So the break-even points in units equals the fixed costs of the company divided by the contribution margin per unit. And that would give us the breaking even point for the HR department. The break-even points in sales dollars would be especially important for figuring out what the budget it would be. So that would be the fixed costs divided by the contribution margin ratio. Moving on to the contribution margin, the difference between sales, revenue, and variable expenses. The contribution margin ratio is also important, and this would be the contribution margin divided by the sales to figure out that part of the equation. The margin of safety is the amount of sales that can drop before losses start. And this would be the difference between budgeted sales, revenue, and the break-even sales. So the safety margin would equal budgeted sales revenue minus the break-even sales. The changes in price reveals the changes in profits in factors such as variable costs, fixed costs, selling price, and volume. So this is the breakdown of CVP. So by understanding the relationship between the cost, sales, and income, human resources can plan for things more efficiently, such as hiring or how much money to allocate into the budget.